Good golly, Miss Molly. Welcome, Dino D, YouTube channel, American in the Philippines. Today we have a review by Filipina Pea with a man named Paul, and he's going to give us a down low on 4 different countries: Hong Kong, Thailand, Cambodia, and the Philippines. So stay tuned and get the watch the interview so you might understand what country you might want to go to. Oh, Singapore also, I think. I went there like in April of 2022. Singapore is a great country, but it's expensive. You can't live there.
Hi folks, the Filipina Pea here. I'm back here with Paul from World Zoom, and the last time I spoke with him, we were talking about the differences between life in the Philippines and retiring in Thailand. And for those of you that don't know, Paul, please introduce yourself again. What do you do for a living, and why do you know so much about Southeast Asia?
Oh, thanks. So again, my name is Paul, and I have the YouTube channel World Zoom. I retired just about now 5 months ago after a long career as a hospital president. And luckily for me, that hospital president job allowed me to travel around the world and work in multiple countries. So I was just very lucky to have worked and lived in Hong Kong and Bangkok and Phnom Penh and Manila, among other places. And so I just feel fortunate to have had the opportunity to travel the world, experience different cultures, and that was the whole reason to start the new YouTube, was to capture those experiences and just talk about those places.
Immortalize your experiences and then share your views to other people that might be thinking, hey, there's, leaving is an option. Let's check it out. Southeast Asia.
Yeah, exactly. And I truly, really love it as well. So it's easy to actually say positive things about the places. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the last time we spoke, we were comparing the Philippines and Thailand.
Right.
And you spent a lot of time in Thailand.
Yes.
And you ended up here. So we're going to be talking about the other places you've stayed in Southeast Asia, such as Hong Kong,
Hong Kong,
Cambodia,
yes, Cambodia,
and Mainland China.
Mainland China as well. Yeah.
All right, so let's start with Hong Kong. I visited Hong Kong, and it's like out of this world for me because it's like very high tech, very clean, very, very fast paced life. So what can you tell us about Hong Kong? You lived and worked there?
I did, yeah. I worked at Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Kowloon, right downtown.
Kowloon.
So
I love
yeah,
Kowloon.
that's where I was. And so, it's certainly the most expensive place I've ever been and lived, including Chicago or even Honolulu. I had just a 35 square meter one-bedroom apartment, which is pretty small, right? And so that goes back to 2010 to 2012, and it was over $3,000 US for a one-bedroom just for that. So the joke I always tell people about Hong Kong is I had a car in Hong Kong, and the parking fee for the month for my car in Hong Kong is more than I pay for rent here for my condominium. So
do you have a car in the first place?
Yeah, that's, you know what, you come from the U.S. and everybody has cars, and you don't realize that you just don't need it. And I never learned my lesson. Every single place I went, I got a car. Even here, within 2 weeks, I said, I'm going to ride the trikes, and, I'm just going to take public transportation. And I did it for like 2 weeks. I said, oh, no, that's not, I can't do it.
I understand that here, but in Hong Kong, there are plenty of other public transportations, like the train or buses.
It's so crowded that my license plate was red. And so my license plate allowed me to only drive on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can have a red plate or a yellow plate. Yellow is Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And anyone can drive in the city on Sunday. So for me, I could drive Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I had to take public transportation to the hospital on Tuesday and Thursday. But in truth, the effort of getting your car out of the parking garage and driving the few blocks to the hospital and parking in the hospital was more trouble than it was worth. So probably 4 days out of 5, I walked. I mean, I just walked because it was close, you know. So it was silly, really, to have the car and pay that kind of expense. But I thought I wanted to go out to, you know, Disneyland and Lantau Island and up to Ocean Park and the areas in Hong Kong that I thought were really cool and you needed a car to do. In fact, you don't. And so if we're talking about Hong Kong, you don't need a car. You absolutely don't. It's so modern and
it's modern and it's very expensive to live there.
It is extraordinarily expensive. So if you talked about budgets there and you mentioned anything about $1,000 or $1,500 budget,
forget about it.
There's no scenario with your, you know, $8 coffees and your $4 you know, can of soda that you can live in Hong Kong. But you know, I actually really enjoyed it. It was an assault on the senses, even more than Bangkok. You know, when I'd leave my apartment in Hong Kong, the moment I stepped out, there was the noise and the traffic and the hustle and bustle of a city that just never stopped. It never stopped. And it wasn't until you got home and closed the door where you could take like your first breath and relax. So but you know,
it's not really a popular destination for retirees in a meager pension, right?
You know, because of the British influence and that ending, you know, about 25 years ago now, English is still widely spoken. All the street signs are in English. The names are English. And so as far as ease of travel, driving, and just walking or taking a taxi, you can do it pretty easily because it's unlike the mainland China where everything's in Mandarin. Here you can just read English everywhere you go. But you know, it's just, you're right about people are there for business, the Americans and Canadians, the Aussies and the Brits and the mainland Chinese. They're there for business. There is no small talk in that city. Even in New York City, you can periodically strike up a conversation with people. I mean, you may get a couple looks before you're successful in talking with someone, or like, you know, or the hand up, you know, they don't want to talk to you. So, but in Hong Kong, it's just, even on the weekends, if you're down by the harbor, Victoria Harbor, in the area there, it's just, that's about the only opportunity you may have to have a conversation, because now people perhaps are on their break or on their holiday day off, and they're relaxed a little bit more. But your average, you know, Monday through Saturday, working in Hong Kong, there's just, I mean, you better have your friends, you know, and have them with you from afar, because you know, if you're thinking you're going to make any there, it's just not likely. There's just not a lot of things that you can do. There's no way to live there and do anything for $2,000 a month. There's just not anything you can do. The rent alone is more than that, unless you want to, even if you lived in one of those little caged things, and I literally mean a cage, where they live in like the slum area. Even those are $400 and $500 a month, and all you have is a box that you put the mattress on. They're stacked 1, 2, 3.
It's a capsule.
So yeah. But it literally is just like a cage. So you slide in feet first, and you have your small TV in there, and your radio, and your Wi-Fi.
I've seen that in Japan.
But even that is, you know, the price that you can get a 2-bedroom, 3-bath here. Now, I would say at a minimum, at an absolute minimum, you'd need probably $6,000 to $7,000 US.
Just to live.
Just to live. Just to make a go of it there.
How about the dating scene there?
You know what? It's surprisingly good, you know, you wouldn't think so. But, you know, if you're going to take them to the dinner and the movie, get ready. You've just spent half a week's wages, you know, at the restaurant and going to the movie and walking around the malls.
How about interracial relationships? Are there a lot of them there?
Yeah, there are. You know, they're a little bit xenophobic, you know. I mean, they marry in themselves, and they look down on the majority of foreigners. They don't so much with the Brits and the Aussies and the Americans, not so much. They look at them more equally, and you know, in the financial status, and also with intellectually, they look at them more the same. But they still look down on you. I mean, don't get me wrong. They don't want you coming with their daughter, you know, to the front door to introduce yourself. I can certainly tell you that.
All right, so Hong Kong, if you are a busy person and you're still working, right, go ahead and maybe just a vacation, but not really good for retirement.
I'd say exactly that, yes.
And let's talk about Cambodia.
Cambodia is a whole different ball game, really.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's couldn't be more night and day from Hong Kong. When I first started going in the late 1990s, there were two paved roads. Two paved roads. The National Highway going east and west and the National Highway going north and south. Luckily, they connected Phnom Penh, the capital, to Siem Reap, where that's where Angkor Wat is and the temples. It also went to Sihanoukville, which was the main coastal city that's there. So really the three main there are other smaller cities, but those are the three main hot spots for foreigners to go to. And
how long,
you know,
I'm sorry, how long did you stay in Cambodia?
Okay, so the first time I stayed for 1 year, and the second time I stayed for like 14 months.
Okay.
So the visa is very easy. You come in and you get if you get a tourist visa for only 30 days, you can't extend it. So you come in and get a business visa even though you're really a tourist.
Okay, how much is that?
That is 25 US dollars.
Okay, that's
25
not bad.
US dollars. You can extend that, but what a lot of people do if they're going to stay is they just get a 1 year residence visa, and that is around $300 for the year. So it's really not bad. Very straightforward. You know, you give them the passport. There's really no questions asked like, do you have enough money to support yourself? What did you do? Background check? None of those things. Where's your passport from? And if it's one of the countries, you know, that they allow people to come into, they just want you there, right? They want you there to spend the money and spend your retirement money. So, you know, it's so much easier to stay there than it is next door in Thailand. But it's so third world compared to Thailand. Some people just can't take that.
So third world, how is it compared to the Philippines? Cambodia versus the Philippines. Let's talk about infrastructure.
Okay, so you like Manila compared to Phnom Penh. Phnom Penh still has the feeling of like a small, you know, a capital city and is not especially modern. But every year with the Chinese influence, now the Chinese have, for the most part, completely taken over Cambodia. They own pretty much every hotel. In Sihanoukville, they've built probably 50 casinos. They control all the road construction, all the building of all the skyscrapers. They're there in the tens of thousands now. And so it's really like Sihanoukville is a Chinese city. There's no... of the couple 100,000 people there, I'd think maybe there's not more than 10 or 15,000 non-Chinese there.
Yeah, it's good and all, like, you know, improvement, but I'm sure there's a price to pay.
Sure,
If the Chinese are doing it, I'm sure it's not because of the goodness of their hearts.
Yeah, that's exactly right. See, I'm very, very used to the Chinese. I've spent a lot of time with them, but you know what you're getting there. If you're,
there's always an angle. There's a catch.
You better have a contract that is ironclad and have read every single sentence in it, because
including the fine print.
Even the fine print, because it's going to be bad for you if you hadn't. So I really like Cambodia. I was just there. I was there for 9 months in 2021. So I was just there, and I stayed about 2 months in Phnom Penh, and then I went up to Siem Reap, which is a smaller town. The rent, so I had a 2-bedroom, 2-bath that had a nice gym and a swimming pool, all teak wood, and it was $350 US. And that was the Wi-Fi and the utilities included.
Wow.
The Wi-Fi and these, so now.
So how's the Wi-Fi?
Significantly better than here.
Significantly?
Yeah, significantly better than here. And that's scary to say for a third world country. Our place did have a generator, and the power did go out, you know, maybe not as much here, but still a lot. Still a lot. So
how often in a week?
I'd say 2 to 3 times a week the power would go out. But because of the generator, you were like, no big deal. The only problem with the generator, they had to start it manually. So sometimes it would take them, if it was like, if you were working late, it might take them a little while to get to it, you know, because they were asleep and have to get up and go and crank up.
So
this.
it's not like automatic. That,
When I was in Phnom Penh, it was automatic. I stayed in a condo, but that was like $600 US dollars a month. But that also was utilities and Wi-Fi included. But that was like truly in the heart of the city, right by the Tonle Sap and Mekong River, with views and an awesome gym and a lap swimming pool.
Wow.
So I mean, it is. I mean, it's a lot cheaper than Thailand, and it's cheap. I mean, the Philippines is not super expensive, but it is less. I think it's less than
for what you're getting for the your money's worth.
That's right. There are some difficulties, you know. So the police are extraordinarily corrupt. Here, I've never had a bad experience with a policeman. I've never even seen or talked to a policeman here. Never. They've never stopped me, ever, for anything. Okay. But in Cambodia, like I got pulled over 3 or 4 times, just like right in a row in my Honda. And finally, the policeman just said, if you want to stop that, you've got to there's no limit to your window tinting. So tint your windows as dark as possible on every section of your window, and the police can't see you're a foreigner from afar and won't pull you over.
Oh.
Otherwise, they're going to get you because they have you know, expenses, and they're only making about $200 a month is their salary.
Oh my god.
And so they need to make up their money, and so a $10 or $15 or $20 stop of a foreigner for a made-up offense is perfect for them. But it just got so bad that luckily he told me that, and I did tint, and it ended. And you know,
how's the crime?
The crime, you know, it's weird because, you know, here we have all the barbed wire and all the glass on the walls and all the bars on the window, and they have that there too. But I never really, even like here, I know it's there, and I know in Manila it's there for sure because I was there, right? In Makati and Ayala Alabang. But I never, here I don't feel anything in Dumaguete. I've never felt like uncomfortable or weird, you know, here. And I didn't in Phnom Penh either. I'm not a night person, so I wasn't down on the walking street and the streets of, you know, the river front area where all the girly bars and all the night bars and the nightlife is. Just wasn't my thing. I have nothing wrong with it. I just not doing it.
I think not your scene. You're not
my scene. I think you have to be a little careful down there, but it's more of a property crime, just like here. You know, they may take your property if you give them the opportunity, just like here. But a harm to your body is unlikely. It was the Wild West when I first went there with the dirt roads and, you know, all the problems.
Did you have a car there?
Yes. Yes, it did. Even during the time I had a Honda CRV there that I bought. So it was not expensive, $4,500. And when I sold it, I got $4,200.
Oh, that's not bad.
You know, so I figured it was safe. I just can't help myself. I don't like going out and standing on the road and flagging people down and have to negotiate where I want to go. Now, they have the U.S. dollar there, which is nice. Everything's U.S. dollars.
Oh, okay, so you don't have to
They have something called a real, but the most that you can have is 25 cents is their highest bill. Their highest bill is 25 cents. So everything is the U.S. dollar. Unless you give like a small tip to the beggars or people like that. So that is nice. But English is not widely spoken. So they speak a language called Khmer. And it's Khmer, C-H-M-E-R. So it's a little bit difficult once you're outside of the true touristy areas to see signage and also to get around. It's not in English. Now, if you're on the main highway, you can travel and it is in English. So it'll say Siem Reap 145, so you know it's 145 kilometers to Siem Reap. But you might
they use kilometers or miles?
They use kilometers.
Okay,
they use kilometers. So, but the U.S. dollar does help in certain things. However, you know, it didn't devalue like it did in the Philippines. You can get some good deals here now with the strengthening of the U.S. dollar. Well, in Cambodia, when the U.S. dollar strengthens, everything gets more expensive because everything's pegged to the dollar. So the Japanese have come in also, and some of you get the infrastructure builds of the Japanese without the corruption and, you know, the violence that the Chinese bring. And so they built 3 giant malls
Right.
in Phnom Penh. Whereas before, all we had was like an outdoor type mall that was 4 stories.
It's like a flea market?
It was like a flea market. It had a couple chain stores, but most of it was just the little kiosks that you walked around for the whole city of 2 million people. But now we have 3 giant malls called Eon. Eon malls. Or Aeon. Aeon. Eon's my car.
Okay.
Aeon. Yeah, sorry. Got that wrong. Scratch
Okay.
it. Yeah. Aeon is the malls that they built. So they have one now by the riverside to the north and now to the south. And those are state-of-the-art malls.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if English is not widely spoken there,
Uh-huh.
how's the dating scene? Are there a lot of interracial couples there?
Yeah, it is just as prevalent, I think, as what you might see in Thailand or here in the Philippines.
How do they communicate?
You know, I think it's a lot how they do when they start in Thailand. Oftentimes the girls, when they're first meeting foreigners for the first time, they don't have much English. But over the course of
Google translators.
yeah, they have that also in
Oh,
Cambodia
okay.
where you can have that and plug that in. But I think it's just like any other new type of thing. You're not going to have a real in-depth, meaningful conversation,
Right.
but you can still, you know, travel with that person and go to dinner with that person, spend time with that person, and eventually, you know, I don't want to say the foreigner ever learns Khmer because they never do, but the Khmers do learn English, or at
Right.
least the basics. But you can't talk about politics or religion or finance or American
No.
football or whatever you'd love to talk about. They are appealing to foreigners just like the Filipinos are and the Thais are. You know, they're exotic looking, which I know I'm not supposed to say. So there is an attraction there with the long black hair, the dark skin, and skinny scrawny, you know, so that they have that here in well, all of South, the Vietnamese is similar, although they're lighter skin.
So how's
Yeah.
the healthcare there?
I'd say it's the worst of any place that I've been. I was at a children's hospital, Siem Reap. You know, there's not necessarily any glass in the windows. There's,
Okay.
you know, the beds sometimes are true beds and not hospital beds. Not enough IV medications for the malaria and dengue fever. You know, at any given day, there are dozens of children lost still in the country from diseases that are preventable, and that's what's so terrible. So
it's not really good healthcare system.
yeah, I really would say I haven't, in my travels around the world, I've never seen worse. I don't know how to explain the mentality of they just won't go and seek treatment. They just don't have the funds, and
Do
they
have
worry
the
about
voodoo healers there?
Yes, they do. Even with like HIV and things like that, they don't take the antiretroviral medications. They go and see the
Ew.
healer, and they give them a paste and things like that to put on or mix things in. It's more of the traditional type of medicine. But unfortunately, it doesn't work. You know, so these people, you know, a lifespan of someone HIV positive in Cambodia is less than 2 years. Less than 2 years. In Thailand, it's 16 years.
Oh my
16
gosh.
years. So if you're positive there, you get your medications, they're cheap, and you live fine. In
Yeah.
Cambodia, you don't, and your white blood cell count, you get full-blown AIDS, and you're gone in 20 months. So it's bad news on the medical side. There were a lot of things I loved.
What are those?
Okay.
Let's talk about
Yeah,
those.
okay. Well, I like the malls, I like the food, I like the golf, and I like the ocean.
Okay.
So, and the people are genuinely friendly, and they're just kind-hearted. They could have like the meanest, scariest face, and some of them do. You know, you think they're Khmer Rouge soldiers from the olden days, like scary,
Right.
you know, scary people. And
You got the mean face, but they're
soon
actually...
as you wave, I mean, their whole demeanor changes, and you know, they may only have 2 teeth, but they both come out, you know, when they smile and say hi. And so they're just lovely. They want to practice their English if they can, help you, you know, in what you need to go and where you want to do. They're not, their first goal is not to scam you or get you. If they are scamming you, it's going to be such a pittance of,
Okay.
you know, like maybe overselling you a fake jade bracelet, and you know it's worth $1 and you paid $3. Less prevalent in Cambodia than Thailand. They're just blatant about it in Thailand. They're less in Cambodia. So there really are a lot of good things. You know, they have the Koreans are there now that the wealthy Asians have come in. then all of a sudden, a lot of the things that they love to do, like golf and shopping and movie theaters,
So it's
and
like booming there.
it is booming. I mean, if you look at the skyline, there's 100 cranes, you know, in
Wow.
Phnom Penh building. When I first went there, there wasn't a chain hotel. Now there's everything. You know, a
Okay.
Hilton, a Radisson, a Mandarin Oriental, Sheraton. They have it all. They
So
have
if
it
you're
all.
gonna
So
live there, how much money should you need?
I think a little bit less than here in the Philippines. I think you could easily do, let's say, 1,200 US
1,200.
dollars. I really do. You could even live in the capital for 1,200 Phnom Penh,
And
whereas
this
I
is
don't.
comfortable living.
It really is. It's not
This is
living
not
like
just
a
surviving,
king. That's
though.
not surviving. So,
Yeah, so
the
it's-
food is pretty inexpensive on the street. It's relatively clean,
Right.
and the fruits are fantastic.
So Cambodia is actually a good place to retire.
Yeah. There are a lot of more. Once it was fairly dangerous, and that's been gone for 15 years, I would say. So now more and more and more people are there in a town called Kampot, Siem Reap, Battenberg, Sihanoukville. There's a lot of great towns.
Let's talk about mainland China. How
Yeah.
long have you been there?
So I off and on for probably 6 or 7 years.
Wow,
I
that
would
long.
say different. Yeah, I mean different spots and the ins and outs and
Well,
changing
you were
around.
working with.
Yeah,
So,
exactly right.
okay.
So,
So is it the same thing with Hong Kong?
It's less busy, and there's more opportunities to have a dialogue with people. And
Okay.
the southern areas that are connected to Hong Kong, called Guangdong and Shenzhen,
Mm-hmm.
they're very Hong Kong-like, even though they're on the mainland. Head down, busy, going 6 days a week, working, make your money, and then move back to your province. They're there to make big bucks and go back. So there's
Okay.
less opportunity for you to meet people and talk to the true Mandarins, you know,
Right.
in those areas.
How
They're
about the communication barrier?
you know what? They're pretty good at if they're 30 and under, they're awesome.
Okay.
Right? If they're 50 and over, no conversation really to speak of. So,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, the young group they say they can't do the Netflix and the TikTok and the YouTube, but they know
Yeah.
they all have VPNs. They know how they work. They're experts.
I was just gonna ask, how strict is it about?
It depends on your topic. You know,
Ah.
if your topic is Taiwan,
Right.
you know, or the rights the Hong Kongers should have, or communist, then very strict. You're going to get a visit. Very strict.
Okay.
If it's just like Korean K-pop and watching the Filipina Pea and doing like
Oh, great. I won't be banned there. Okay.
No. I mean,
Okay.
no. You're not supposed to be able to see YouTube. I mean, you're
Uh-huh.
not. But come on, these kids are extraordinarily clever. They're IT people.
Right.
You know, they're engineers. You think that a 60-year-old Chinese communist guy can block a 20-year-old Chinese kid from seeing what he wants on the computer?
Mm-hmm.
No way. No way. They're geniuses, right? For that. Just like our younger generation
Right.
are.
Right.
You know, I have to ask kids, how to do my phone, so, and they're very, very good at it there. And so the nice thing about that is they're worldly, they have seen all the Netflix series, they've
So
seen
they can
all
relate.
the YouTube, they can, and they
Okay.
speak good English. Their education is quality and competitive.
Right.
Super,
Oh my God,
super
tell me about it. Like
competitive. Yeah.
Chinese.
It's unbelievable the pressure that they put on. Now they've loosened up the one-child policy.
Right.
So now you can have
One and a half?
Well, you have to pay money if you actually have a second boy.
Oh.
You actually pay money. You can have a
Really?
second child, and if it's a girl, they encourage it, or even a third girl. If you have a boy and have a
that
second
was different from before.
completely different, where they wanted boys. But now they see in desperation, there's
Oh.
like 6 times the number of boys at the 20-year-old and
Yeah,
25-year-old.
before they were just discarding girls.
Yeah, that's right.
Do
But
women there date older retirees, or do they? I mean, how is the age gap there?
It's not anything like Thailand or here.
Yeah.
There is a lot of cross-cultural relationships,
Yeah.
but it's not 20 and 50.
No.
It's not. In fact, I'm trying to think. I mean,
More
in
of
my
the
time
same?
there, I just don't, unless they're paid, the girls, you know, like a paid escort, you see that's there,
Right,
you know.
right.
But there, it's not a real relationship where they're like staying in their home or, you know, with them for the long term. But hundreds of cases where, you know, the retirees or the foreigner workers have relationships and marriage to the Chinese, Cantonese, and Mandarin. But it's like a U.S.
Yeah.
Age difference, maybe 10 years, you know,
Maybe
something like that,
most,
maybe like
the
10,
most.
yeah. Honestly, though, the Chinese businessmen, you know, they have young girlfriends and wives, and
Right.
you know, they,
Young
I mean, they're
wives and girlfriends.
very young. You know, I don't mean inappropriately, illegally young, but I mean
But
like they're 60
significant-
and they're 20 or 25.
Right.
I see that a lot there, a lot. No one really, like,
No one blinks an
no
eye.
one says, no one thinks anything about it. They know, like, the wealthy Chinese businessmen do whatever the hell they want in whatever field they want, right? And so dating is no different. But they don't. I don't see it on the foreigner side. I just don't.
Maybe they can't
So-
afford it.
well, and I just don't know. I don't think the Chinese women are the situation where there's the mutual benefit enough
Right.
for the extent for them to jump over that barrier like they don't. You know, sometimes in the Philippines, I don't judge because there's a benefit to both sides, right?
Right.
There's a give and take on both sides. And in China, that doesn't exist as much for the
There's
30-year-old.
no overlapping of needs and wants.
That's right. Yep.
But it doesn't have to be like money. You know, as
Yeah,
what I
that's
mentioned
right.
Before.
Yeah, that's right.
As long as
Yeah.
you're filling the void,
Yeah.
whatever that may be.
I agree.
So-
Yeah, I definitely agree. So not much of that there. And the cost of living in the outside areas is actually similar to here.
Okay.
You may not believe that. I was in Xi'an, which is a city still of like 3 million people, an ancient city, more to the north. I had a
There.
2-bedroom and 2-bath for $275 US.
$275.
$275. So
That
even
was
a
your
little
rent.
bit. That was my rent. Had to
Wow.
pay utilities separate. Amazing how they do the utilities. Every year, the government comes to your condominium and looks to make sure your square footage is the same.
Oh.
Then they tell you what your heat is going to be for the year. They tell you, right?
Wow.
You have no thermostat. They set your heat. So
Okay.
let's say 22 Celsius is what they're going to peg it at. You have to pay $400 for the season. So they'll turn it on October 20th and turn it off April 1st. You pay $400. There's no way you can turn it up, no way you can turn it down. They adjust it from outside. The communist government controls the heat and how
Oh,
much
wow.
it's going to be and how much you're going to pay.
I
You
don't
ever
like
hear
that.
of anything like that?
No, really, no.
So if you talk to them sometimes, you know, online or other words, they're bundled up. They have
Yeah,
like
like
a
a
winter coat and the hat and the things like that. 23 is okay, you know, but I mean that they decide what it's going to be.
Well, anyways,
Yes.
Let's talk about other countries that you visited.
Yeah,
You have,
just
you know,
visited.
yeah,
Yeah.
visited like,
Yeah.
let's say Malaysia. Malaysia is a very nice country.
It is.
I've
yeah.
been there, if I'm not mistaken, once or twice.
Singapore to me is Dallas, Texas,
It's
and
pretty.
Chicago.
They have a
and
pretty airport,
they-
the Changi
Yeah, they
airport.
do. Everything is
Changi.
like super modern, super
Yeah.
beautiful, clean. If you want unemployment there, they're not giving you the unemployment. You have to go clean something. They'll pay you if you sweep the street. There's no handout of money, you know, there.
It's very clean that you're not
no
allowed
gum.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yep. No gum.
No gum.
Yep.
No gum.
They are welcoming to you.
Right.
You don't feel any hostility, you know, from any of them, or at least I never did during the time
No.
that's I there. So it's a cool place. I mean, if you like shopping and seeing high-end hotels, it also is expensive.
Yeah.
You know, for everything. But it's
Yeah, that's why I can't afford
yeah.
to stay there, you know, for a longer periods of time.
Yeah, very beautiful place and a fun place to visit. And Kuala Lumpur's fun also.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
are sometimes Cebu Pacific offers
Discounted flights,
discounted price. So
yeah.
you know, for a weekend, sure.
And in Singapore, that gets expensive. In Kuala Lumpur, no, it's like a third of the price.
But the food is good.
It's good.
Food is good.
It's good.
I don't see a lot of corruption.
Zero.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there is something hidden. I know they have like a secret red light area you see the YouTubers talking about. I
Really?
just saw a vlog that,
Oh.
you know, they went to the area, but normally that's like super under wraps. So when you there's just no slipping your money into your passport or handing some of the money. I mean, they'll hand it right back with a frown on their face, you know, right on camera. They'll just put it like right back. You know, if you do that in Bangkok, you know, at the Suvarnabhumi or the area,
Yeah.
you're getting your passport back, but mysteriously the 1,000 baht is gone, depending on what you needed. I've only heard that. I've never actually done it.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course
Yeah,
not,
of
Paul.
course, of course not. Yeah. But you know, I've never experienced that or seen that, you know, here. But there's no reason to. They set the rule, and you have to pay this amount, and
Right.
there's nothing you're asking them extra for here.
No.
You know, I'm asking for 30 days, you know, 2 months or 6 months. That's all
So
I
are you
want.
on a 6-month extension?
Yes, now I am. Yeah.
And then after that, you can get another 6 months.
Yes, or I can work on the retirement side. For
Yeah.
me, having the military and wanting
yeah,
to be
that's-
here, it makes it so much easier to
Yeah.
do the SRRV visa here, and that makes sense for me. But
Right.
most of the people I know just do the tourist because it doesn't matter to
Yeah.
them, you know,
You don't have
because they
to-
can stay 3 years. You
And
know,
then
they
just do
got
a visa run.
right. Yeah, my neighbor just went to Kuala Lumpur for like 4 days. Been
Right.
here 3 years, left, did 3 or 4 days there, and now he's back and starting all over. He's got to do a 30 and a 60 and then a 6 month
See,
again.
that's why
So
it's easy, one of the easiest places to get visas.
it's so great here because they really want you here, and it is nice. Foreigners notice that. Believe me, we notice that. We know which countries are terrible trying to
Right.
get into and make you jump through hoops. Thailand.
Right.
And who are easy, you know, to be able to come and retire in and feel like they value you.
Right.
And you do feel that here.
Paul, tell us about your YouTube channel.
Oh, thanks. So I have a YouTube channel called World Zoom, and it talks about a lot of these topics, you know, about the different countries, how to retire there, how to get an apartment, how to get a driver's license, how much you should spend per month. So now it's been focused on the Philippines, but you know, going back, you can look at Cambodia and Thailand and Dubai and check out World Zoom, and I appreciate it if you would. Thank you. And thanks to P, because a short time ago after our last video, I got monetized and jumped right up, all thanks to her. So
Congratulations.
very fun and exciting for the channel. Up to 2,500 subscribers now. So
Well, I hope at the end of this video, we'll get 2,000 or more subscribers.
that would be so exciting.
Yeah. Well, come on, guys. Show some love. Show some love.
Show some love. Okay.
Anyway, Paul, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for visiting my channel again.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Very much enjoy it. As always, you're the best.
Thank you so much. Well, for you guys out there, you know it. I'll be back in just 3 days with something fresh for you to consider. So, bye for now.
Bye.